Hello and welcome to the Kamala Show. We bring you interviews and conversations with technologists, entrepreneurs, filmmakers and other newsmakers from in and around the San Francisco Bay Area. My guest today is San Jose City Councilmember, Ash Kalra. Is that the right way to pronounce your name?
It is. Ash. That's absolutely right.
What is your full name?
My full name is Ashu.
Ashu.
Very simple, A-S-H-U.
Okay.
It's a little unusual that it's that shortened, but that's my full name, and I go by Ash.
Or Ash.
Yeah, it's spelled A-S-H, so I confuse people that way.
Okay. So we just finished our midterm elections here in California and in District 17. I don't think Mountain View falls under District 17. It's just the borderline. This was one of the most expensive elections in this district, and overall, I think in America, it was the most expensive elections. What are your perspectives of the local elections here? Because there was a mayoral election as well as the California District 17 election.
One of my takeaways, and I think it's a common takeaway, is that turnout was far too low. I think that we really need to do more to engage the community and give them reasons to vote. And as someone that's been politically engaged for a while, I always find reasons to vote, but the reality is that for most voters, most citizens, they're not finding that desire to get out there and have their voice heard. That's a problem for our democracy. And I think regardless of who wins individual races, regardless of what party is in power, we really need to find a way to engage our citizenry so that at the very least they exercise that fundamental right to exercise their vote.
So turnout was low. I think overall was 29% in the country or something, and I think a little less than 20% in your city. It's
probably the mid-20s or so, but there's still some ballots that are coming in that are being counted. But regardless, it's far too low for the importance of the issues that those of us that are elected officials have to deal with.
So the mayor's election results are not in as yet.
Yeah.
Are you surprised at how close it is?
I'm not surprised at how close it is. Typically in an open seat in our mayoral elections, it's very close. We've seen that happen in most of the elections over the last 20 years or so. And the reality is that both the competitors ran a furious, competitive, energetic race. And there were a lot of people that had an interest in who won. Another example of a lot of money coming into an election, and another example of how turnout and the lack of turnout is really what's going to be a takeaway and a deciding factor in the race.
Who did you support in this current election?
I support Dave Cortese, and unfortunately he's a couple thousand votes short with still, tens of thousands of ballots.
120,000, I believe. That's what the registrar of votes said.
That's right, countywide, and in the city of San Jose, that equates to approximately 60,000 or so. And so the election could turn in Dave's favor, but it's probably unlikely, although we certainly hold out hope. And the reality is that if turnout was significantly higher, Dave would have won the election.
So what are you going to do? You have an announcement of your own to make because you're in your second term as a council member, 4 years for each term, so you're in your 6th year. And you have an announcement to make. Yes.
I just recently filed my statement of intent to run for state assembly. And I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited about the opportunities that it presents to continue my work on behalf of the residents of San Jose in Sacramento.
In Sacramento, and that would be district, which district?
27.
Okay.
The 27th Assembly District. And we have a number of assembly districts that overlap some portions of San Jose. This is the only district that is fully and wholly in San Jose. And it's an area that I've been living in since 1978.
So all of San Jose, that is north of Gilroy and south of Santa Clara.
It's not all of San Jose, but the entire assembly district is in San Jose. Now, there are a number of other assembly districts that have pieces of San Jose, as well as other cities. This district is fully in San Jose, from East San Jose to the Evergreen area, down to South San Jose, Communication Hill, Little Saigon, all the way including downtown San Jose.
And who's the current lady representing the district?
Currently, it's Speaker Pro Tem Nora Campos, who's done a great job of representing the area, and she's terming out at the same time that I term out of my city council position. And so the timing is great. And, you know, there's never been an Indian American in the history of California that's sat in either the position of assembly member or senator. So it'll be a historic campaign and hopefully a historic result.
And what about money? Money is becoming, big money is rolling into elections here. Is there pressure for you to raise money?
Well, I certainly want to raise money for my campaign. And it's unfortunate, I agree, that money is playing such a role in our political world and in the decisions being made and in terms of who's being elected. I want to raise as much as I can within the rules that are given so that outside money has less of an influence and it's actually the campaign itself that's speaking on behalf of myself and my voice. Ultimately, in terms of our democracy, we have to find a way to limit the amount of influence that money has. Otherwise, I think we're going to continue to see those with special interests and those that carry the voice of a few dominating the masses and the average voter.
So you mentioned something very interesting. You said you're going to be probably the first Indian American to be contesting elections at a district level, you know, for San Jose in California. What is it about the Indian Americans and their involvement in politics, especially for folks from where your parents come from, the state of Punjab? A lot of them, you know, the diaspora, the Punjabi diaspora is big all over the world, whether it's UK, Canada, or USA. And in fact, there were some of the early folks to come here in California 100 years ago, and they're into business and politics. Why is that? Explain that.
Well, I think we're seeing certainly a shift of the Indian community in general, and the Indian American community, specifically here in this nation, getting more engaged politically. Now, with the Punjabi community, you know, I'm Hindu Punjabi, and Punjab as a region is a very diverse region. Of course, most Americans, when they think of Punjab or Punjabis, they think of the Sikh community. And the reality is, in terms of political engagement, the Sikh community was the first to really get politically engaged, particularly here in California. They came here working in the farms as migrant workers, really, you know, over 100 years ago. And now many of them own the farms and own the trucking companies. They've done a tremendous job in terms of their hard work, diligence, and entrepreneurship to really take ownership of some of the industries in which they toiled for so many decades. And then we have the infancy of kind of Indian American political activism was also from the Sikh community, when we had Dilip Singh Sandh and other activists that helped us gain the vote, gain the opportunity to be citizens.
He was the first Indian American.
That's right.
Elected to Congress.
The first Asian American as a whole, you know.
Asian American.
Yeah, he led the whole kind of movement in terms of the Asian American, Indian American activism. Once he was able to secure citizenship and the right to vote for himself and his community, ran for Congress and won. And we should all be proud of, you know, the path that he paved for so many of us to have the opportunity to be citizens and voting members of the society, and then beyond that to really get engaged in terms of the civil rights movement of the past, but even the civil rights movement that continues to this day in terms of empowerment of our community.
You know, every parent, when they hear that their child is going to take a different direction, is going to have some reservations. Your father has a PhD, and you know, your mother, I don't know if she was a homemaker, but so your father was, you know, had. How did they react when you said that you were going to do a BA in communications and then do, you know, legal studies and then get into politics? Well, what was their reaction?
Well, I didn't really chart a course for politics. It was a course that I chose in public service. And, you know, it's a difficult conversation that I think we have, especially as Indian Americans growing up. There's so much pressure, and I think, unfortunately, too much pressure on youth as they go through high school and college to be successful by a definition that I think oftentimes society places on us and our own community puts on ourselves. You know, to be a doctor, to be an engineer, to be successful in the tech industry or in business, and those are all tremendous and wonderful endeavors. But I think that we serve ourselves best when we really encourage our youth to follow their own passions and not necessarily the course that we dictate for them. And now there's a reason for it. Like my family, like many others, came here. My father worked as an engineer. That field, that industry, as well as medicine and others, have provided the stability and the foundation for us now as the next generation to be able to have the options in front of us. And so what I always tell the youth, and particularly the parents, is that the greatest wealth that has been given to us as Indian Americans in this country is the wealth of having options. Most people in this world don't have options. Our parents certainly didn't have the kind of options that we have.
But you clearly felt you had an option.
Well, certainly, and it wasn't, without some difficult conversations with my family, that I was not only going to go become a lawyer, but that I was going to become a public defender, not a corporate lawyer, not work at a law firm, and that my life was really going to be one dedicated to serving those that had less, and the unfortunate, and those that needed a voice, the indigent. That was my passion. That's still my passion, and it led me down this path to where now I get some fame or some recognition because of my title. But trust me, the path that I took was not one that I think the community and even at times my family understood. And
did your father support you? Did he understand where you were coming from?
He's always supported me. My family, my parents have always supported me. I can't always say they understood the path I took. Certainly now they do, and they know me very well, and they understand my passion for service and my rejection of any kind of path that solely focuses on money or wealth or material objects. And frankly, I got a lot of that from Gita classes and my Hindu upbringing and my spirituality to kind of detach myself from material things and focus on what I believe is of great value, which is serving others and bringing the ability for folks to live in comfort and so that, to take care of my neighbors, take care of people. I think that's what really led me down this path. And so I do connect it with my upbringing as well, although it may not have been as on the surface as, okay, well, you need to choose a career in public service. That's how I ended up down that path.
So you ended up going to law school and then becoming a public defender. And you served 11 years before throwing your hat in the political arena.
Yeah.
And now you're a council member. We'll come back, and in part 2, we'll talk about what you did as a public defender and what did you learn, because that is a difficult path to go, right?
Yes, absolutely.
We'll be back again with part 2 of our conversation with San Jose City Council member Ash Kalra. Thank you for tuning in.